from the Tummy Team, and I'm a physical therapist and the founder of the Tummy Team. And we're going live weekly right now to answer you guys' questions. And we've been answering questions, just any kind of questions you have about functional core weakness or diastasis recti. Specifically this week, we asked you to send in your questions about pregnancy or prenatal core training or how diastasis affects pregnancy, those kinds of things. So that's going to be mostly the focus of this Q&A. The Tummy Team it's physical therapy for the core. And we have a bunch of online programs. We have a clinic in Washington, and we have recently we've been doing online for 10 years, and we recently moved to exclusively online. We do online courses as well as online professional training. And this is our specialty, right? This is what we do. We work with people that have any kind of core weakness issues, and we call it functional core rehab because we talk about how the core muscles are supporting you structurally, posturally, and functionally. So all of our work is done upright, sitting and standing, and we work specifically with a condition, diastasis recti, but that's not all we do. But it is a big portion of the clients that reach out to us because often when you learn about diastasis or you get diagnosed with diastasis, it's rarely followed up with a good treatment plan, a good option for you. So a lot of people are left searching the internet, trying to find some kind of solution. And that's how they find us. A lot of times there's a lot of information out there that can be really confusing, and we really try to give you sound, clinically relevant information on what's going on with your body and how to fix it, so that it's hopefully we're a voice of reason and hope and encouragement, but also we have a really solid knowledge base because this is our specialty. And I have some questions here that I'm going to get right to, okay? So if you have questions as I'm talking, you want to type them up and post them on the live feed, I will do my best to get to those as well, all right? So my first question is from a client, or I'm not sure she's a client, Nicole. She says, I'm 20 weeks pregnant with baby number 3, and I am sure that I have a diastasis recti still. So that makes me think that she knew she had one before she was pregnant or with other pregnancies. Should I just wait until after this baby to do the rehab, or wait until I'm done having babies because I'm not sure if this is going to be our last? Okay, so that's a really common question. If you find out you have a diastasis while you're pregnant, or you know you have a diastasis and you're going to have more babies, the common feeling is, okay, my abdominal wall is already stretched out, already separated, and it's going to get worse. So why even do anything? Because, it's kind of like, I'll worry about that after the baby. Really common advice that we're also given sometimes. And so the reality is you need a strong core for the pregnancy, for the birth, and the birth recovery. Okay, so if your abdominal wall is stretched and separated, and the right and the left muscles are kind of pulled apart like this, then the connective tissue is the only thing that's really helping support the uterus and put the baby in a good alignment. So all of your muscles and ligaments have to strain and stretch and hold even more than they naturally would in a pregnancy. And that can create a lot of dysfunction. It can create a lot of back pain, compensation type pain, sciatica, where your glutes are clenching all the time. You can, because you don't have a nice stable core, your SI joint can move in and out. Your pubic symphysis joint can move in and out of your pelvis. But also it can put the baby in a less than optimal alignment where, because the muscles can't support the baby well, baby can drop out, and you can have more of kind of like a torpedo shaped belly. And if baby's not in optimal alignment going into labor, it can make labor kind of very difficult, stop and start type labors, because the pressure of the baby's head on the cervix helps labor start and progress. So what a strong core does is close up that diastasis and pull baby up and in so you're in a better alignment. That in addition to the coordination and connection that's required for your core and your pelvic floor to effectively push the baby out without holding your breath, bearing down, pushing out, and making the diastasis worse, and possibly making pelvic floor issues, tearing, prolapse, other excessive pressure on the pelvic floor. And these are all things that we work on when we do our prenatal core training with you, where we help you. You may not be able to close the diastasis completely if you had a diastasis going into this pregnancy, and we still have 20 weeks less of this pregnancy, right? So it can be very difficult for you to get it completely closed, but still the muscle strength that you're going to get is going to change that fetal alignment, and the coordination that we work on between the core and the pelvic floor for pushing is going to help pushing be better, which is going to help birth recovery be better, which is going to help you set yourself up for a future pregnancy. So don't wait is the short answer. Don't wait. I want you to be strong now, but I want you also to not have one injury on top of another injury going in. All right, Melissa posted a question that says, if I repair my diastasis with a PT and then become pregnant again, do I lose what I gained from those exercises? That's a really good question, Melissa. No, you do and you don't. Okay, so the connective tissue is still vulnerable, especially if you've had a previous diastasis. The hormones of pregnancy can make it more vulnerable to stretch again. However, what you learn about alignment, keeping the pelvis and the rib cage bowl lined up, what you learn about getting the connection of the transverse, the strength of the transverse, and the coordination between the transverse abdominis, that corset muscle, and your pelvic floor muscles during pregnancy and for labor are going to help you significantly recover afterwards. So I do have clients that have seen me after a baby, and kind of healed up their diastasis, got really strong, got pregnant again, and they got some of their diastasis back, but we worked through their pregnancy. And when I say work through their pregnancy, it's like I give them specific things they do throughout their day. It's not like, it's really practical stuff. And then even though they had some of that diastasis returned through the course of their next pregnancy, their recovery postpartum was very quick and it healed up really quickly. So yes and no, there's some stretching that's going to happen a lot of times, especially if you've had a previous diastasis, but it'll be less severe, less significant, and the muscle strength is going to be what you want to focus on. Okay. All right, Missy is leaving one here. It says, is fascial tightness common in diastasis recti? I have 3 kids, youngest is 14, and now back pain, right hip pain, and it's getting worse. My friend is doing some myofascial stretching on the abdominal, having trouble with muscle recruitment, lower glutes, years of compensation, not sure where to start. Help, please. Oh, Missy. We are here for you. Like, okay, so fascial, so there's a lot of things that's going on. If your body has been living with a diastasis for possibly 14 years, then your body has used other strategies to compensate for the weakness that's there, because a muscle group that's here versus a muscle group that's here is very different. So if you're living with your muscles here, then a lot of times the rectus abdominis gets really tight, or the obliques get really tight. The glutes are compensating because your pelvis doesn't have the stability it needs, and the lower core is maybe your pelvic floor is gripping, or maybe it's kind of very disconnected because you can't feel it. Because a lot of times if you've had a significant separation for that long, you also have poor pelvic or rib cage alignment as well, a kind of collapsed posture, and that puts those muscles in positions where they don't function effectively. So where you start is in core foundations. So we have a core foundations 8-week course, and it starts at the basics, connecting to the right muscles and getting you in the optimal alignment so those muscles do their job all day long. And then as we train you in that, we have you work on some standing stuff, and then lifting, and then how you're moving, and then basic stuff, how you're taking care of your home and your family and yourself. And then we also build in exercise. We do some abdominal massage in that. We teach you to do it for yourself, which I think is incredibly valuable for you to be having your own hands on your own body and feeling what you feel, and we kind of coach you through that, so that you can loosen up some of the places that are tight, because it's usually a balance between releasing something that's tight and strengthening something that's weak to get you into the balance that you need. When you have a weak core muscle and a diastasis, then you likely have tight muscles around the pelvis, tight muscles around the rib cage, trying to stabilize for that missing link in the middle. Okay, so even though it's been years and years since you had your kiddos, your body has been trying really hard to stabilize you with a big missing component. Okay, so Core Foundations is on our website, thetummyteam.com, and it's a step-by-step program. You can read the reviews there, and there's lots of people that have very similar symptoms that of what you're saying that we are able to help. Okay. All right, back to my questions that I have written down. Emily, my first baby / birth was a bit difficult. I had hours of stop and start labor, including 3 to 4 hours of pushing and a really hard birth recovery. I want to have another baby, but I'm scared that, am I too weak to do it now? I felt like I was fairly strong before, and I don't want to have the same experience. Okay, what you're talking about, Emily, is what we call birth trauma. When you're a little bit traumatized by your birth experience, the stop and start labor is something we see a lot when you have when your baby's in a poor alignment and it's not, your cervix is not getting consistent feedback with the contractions. So it kind of starts and then move into a different position, and it stops and then you move into a different position, and it keeps going, and then it kind of continues and perpetuates, and then that leads you to being very, very fatigued when it comes to the pushing stage, and likely pretty disconnected to those muscles. And there's a connection and a coordination that helps you push effectively. And that's not something that most prenatal childbirth education courses teach you, but it is something that we teach you. So even though you had a really difficult and scary first delivery, there is hope, and there are some things that you can be doing to prepare yourself. So if you're not pregnant right now, I would really encourage you to do Core Foundations, which is our kind of functional core rehab process. And then when you get pregnant in your second trimester, do prenatal core training, so that you can reinforce the stuff you learned in Core Foundations and do the specific things related to pushing practice and fetal alignment, and really helping you be confident going in. We have a lot of clients that come to us after a traumatic birth, and we help them heal from that. We actually have, in part of our Core Foundations program, we have what we call a grief routine and a grief recovery process, because there's a lot of times trauma like that leaves a physical residue where you are guarding or disconnected from your body, or you're afraid to touch your body. And we work through that. We really feel like the emotional and physical component is really intimately connected, and it's hard to heal something that you can't feel. So if you have that traumatic experience, you may really be scared. You said you're scared, but you may be scared to even feel and heal. And so we need to try to do some of that first before you get pregnant. We do some of that in the prenatal course. So if you're already pregnant, which happens, we could still help you. And sometimes if you're already pregnant and you have had kind of a birth trauma, it might be valuable for you to do an e-session with me, where we can talk through kind of what happened in that last delivery, and we can kind of have a game plan for understanding what happened with your body, and how we can help support it a little bit better, so that you're not just flying blind into the next pregnancy. I just want you to know that there is support out there, and if you want to continue to grow your family, we can support you and help you do that. All right, so on Instagram, do we have a course that teaches you how to do the abdominal massage? So in our Core Foundations course, we do different levels of abdominal massage, and they are they're not like advanced techniques. These are simple, basic techniques, but I have found that even basic physical touch is incredibly healing to the core, especially if you've disconnected. And disconnect is probably the number one thing we see with our clients, not weakness, not diastasis, but disconnect because of pain or because of feeling somehow your body failed you, and this withdrawal that happens from that. And so the abdominal massage that we teach first starts just getting blood flow into that area, and helping. We have some stuff that specifically helps with the digestive system because that sometimes becomes sluggish. And then we go in and we start working on kind of massaging along the borders of the diastasis to loosen up any fascia that might be holding the rectus abdominis too tight. But we also do some rib, some stuff under the obliques and some rib mobilization. So we teach you all of that as part of the process. There's several components to the healing journey. It's a very holistic approach: alignment, posture, connection, abdominal massage, splinting, the transverse exercises, the functional integration component. These are all kind of pieces that come together. And that's kind of important for you to realize that it's not just the abdominal massage by itself, but as part of a bigger picture. However, that being said, sometimes the abdominal massage is the missing component for people, and it's often the hardest thing for me to get clients to do. All right, so I have another comment here. I fell off the wagon of core foundations when I watched the grief routine. Now I have 7 weeks till baby, and I need to either finish core foundations or sign up. Okay, sweetie, I get it. The grief routine is hard. It can be really hard. But 7 weeks is enough time for you to do prenatal core, or you can do our crash course, which might be actually better for you since you've already done some of the core foundations, so you have some of that foundational stuff. And the crash course can be done in a weekend, but you can apply it over the next 7 weeks. And it's a smaller course, less expense, but it can also help you. But if you really want to continue your core foundations and you never finished it, email us. Email us info@thetummyteam.com and tell us your situation, and we can help you get access to that course again if you need to finish it. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes we just get a little bit overwhelmed by it. But I feel like there's some, if you're pregnant now and you have 7 weeks till baby, I really want you to prioritize not just the connection, but the connection and coordination between the core and the pelvic floor. So you have some time to practice that before, okay? It's my 8th baby. Last birth was really slow and their diastasis is bad. Okay, that's okay. It's okay. We're here with you. There are definitely some strategies we could do. You can also do an e-session with me if that would be valuable. And sometimes in that e-session, we can really focus and prioritize what you need to work on and help you get over some of the things that may be mental or emotional hurdles or physical hurdles. And then we can decide which program is going to be the best, if we want to put you back in your core foundations to finish that up, or if we recommend you do either prenatal core or prenatal crash course. Okay, so take a look at our e-sessions right when you go to thetummyteam.com. It says book e-session right at the top and gives you the option to do that. Okay. All right, Christy. Oh, I struggle with pubic bone symphysis or pubic symphysis pain and SI instability during pregnancy. Is this related to a weak core? It definitely is. So for people that don't know, so you have your pelvis in the front, pubic bone in the back, your SI, your sacroiliac, your spine comes down, and your those little dimples on your bum are behind and your back there, that's your SI joint, your sacroiliac joint. Both of those joints are part of the pelvis, and the pelvis wants to spread when we're pregnant, right? It needs to spread and give room for the baby, which is really important at the end in your third trimester when we're getting close to delivery. It's important that that spreads. However, it can't spread without any kind of support system, or then you just feel like a jellyfish, and we are not jellyfish. We're supposed to be grounded and stabilized. And so the core, the corset, everybody thinks about the core and they automatically think about flat tummies and washboard abs. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about your core, the muscle that wraps around you like a corset. Your transverse abdominis, it starts at your back, along your spine, wraps all the way around, attaches to your lower 6 ribs, all the way to your pubic bone. It wraps around and supports the entire pelvis, and it connects you to the rib cage. Okay, and so if that muscle is, instead of a meaty corset, is like a deflated balloon, then there's no support to the pelvis, and now you have the hormones of pregnancy and the pressure of pregnancy that wants everything to pull apart without any kind of support structure to give it. You need a certain amount of flexibility and strength. So we often can see it's not just the transverse work that we do, but it's the helping you get into an optimal alignment, including neutral pelvic alignment, and then using that alignment with how you sit, how you stand, how you move, how you get in and out of cars, how you get in and out of bed. Those are the times that people really say, oh my gosh, when I get in it, move, change positions in bed, oh, that pubic bone, it just feels so bad. So we give you strategies for that, and some of it is definitely related to a weak core, but it's a lot about connection and coordination, as much as it is about just strength, right? And so you have to be in the optimal alignment to get those things. So it is all connected. We actually have a couple of free resources about the pubic bone on our YouTube channel and on our free resources page at the Tummy Team. So those are some really good places for you to look as well, okay? All right. So, all right, next question. I'm trying to keep up with the ones coming in online and the ones I have that have been sent in. Okay, Talia, I hope that's how you say your name. Should I wait until my DR is closed before I get pregnant again? That's a really common question. Okay, so I would, if possible, I would absolutely recommend you at least start your core rehab process before you get pregnant again. Sometimes you get pregnant in the middle of it. Actually, really, really, really often do people get pregnant in the middle of our core foundations program. It's like our staff here like call it a fertility program. So beware if you don't want to get pregnant. Core foundations kind of helps you get pregnant. So, but that being said, it is important if you have the time to spend some time healing before you insert the pregnancy hormones of another pregnancy. And you may not heal it completely, and you may heal it completely and then you get pregnant and it separates a little bit again. So that happens, but it's so much easier when you're not nauseous and you're not sick and you're not tired, and you're not also fighting against kind of the expansion of your belly to retrain those muscles. So if you have the time, we definitely recommend that you at least start core foundations and start the process and start retraining those muscles and getting your body into some really strong, connected shape prior to getting pregnant again. But it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes you get pregnant and sometimes you feel pretty crummy in the beginning of the pregnancy. And even though you really, really, really want to do some core rehab, you can't really emotionally or physically handle it until you get to, your second trimester or so, but that's okay. We can work with you at your second trimester. We can work with you at your third trimester. We can work with you if you only have a weekend before delivery. There's always something that's going to be helpful. And I would say the number one thing that our clients say that see us postpartum is, I wish I had done this prior to getting pregnant. I wish I had done this while I was pregnant. I wish I had done this sooner. Every single time. That is what we hear. So the advice that I would give to you is, if you have the chance to do it sooner, do it sooner. It's so much easier to be proactive and to set yourself up. And sometimes you don't even know, you're so used to having that weak feeling, that empty feeling, you don't even know it's there until we give you that strength back and that connection back. And it's really empowering. And I would love for you to go into your next pregnancy having some of that. So that's my answer to that question. All right, my next question is from Caitlin. Oh, sweetie. She goes, did my diastasis cause my C-section? If I do prenatal core training, will it help me have a successful VBAC? Okay, so first of all, I don't know if we can say the diastasis causes a C-section. There's so many reasons that you might need to have a C-section, but based on the question, it makes me feel like maybe something happened in your delivery where you baby didn't get in the right position, or you weren't able to push the baby out, or kind of makes me feel like there's a reason that you're thinking that. It wasn't like baby was breech and I had a C-section, or it wasn't like, it was something else. It sounds like from the tone of your question is that you feel like, there was my body wasn't working for me, and that might have something to do with my C-section. So we have lots and lots of clients that have successful VBACs when they have a stronger core and are more connected. There are times that people have another C-section as well, and I always tell people C-section is not our worst case scenario. If you get a healthy baby and healthy mama, then it's a success, right? But I know that that's not the choice for a lot of people. A lot of people are trying to avoid a C-section and would really like to have that vaginal birth experience, want to avoid another surgery, want to avoid the surgical recovery of a C-section. So I think that it could be, if you're not pregnant yet, I would say do the Core Foundations course now before getting pregnant, and go through the grief recovery process, because it sounds like you might need to grieve a little bit about your birth experience and reconnect to those muscles in that. And I think that could be really valuable. But yes, I would do the prenatal core training, because if your C-section was a result of kind of stop and start labor where you fatigued out, or uncoordinated pushing, or poor fetal alignment, or anything along those lines, those are the things we address. And we consistently get feedback from the doctors, the midwives, and the OB nurses that we work with, and the labor delivery nurses that we work with, of like just what a night and day difference this birth experience was for a client that had a really difficult birth before. We have a lot of testimonies about that as well, if you want to look at prenatal core training and look at under the reviews. But sometimes we think because birth is such a natural thing that our body should just know what it's supposed to do. And there are parts of it. The uterus knows what to do. The uterus is going to push that baby out. But if we've sat at a desk for a really long time, or have been kind of disconnected from our body, or had really poor postural alignment throughout the pregnancy, or were on bed rest for a long time and didn't really activate our muscles at all, it kind of sets us up for a difficult birth. And then sometimes we think that powering through, like I was an athlete in college, and I just thought, my first baby was a C-section, by the way. I thought that I could handle a lot of pain. I could just muscle through this. And that's not actually how you give birth. It's much more about connection, relaxation at the right time, coordination, than it is about holding your breath, bearing down, and bracing and powering through pain. And I learned with my consecutive babies that when I got the epidural, my body relaxed, and I naturally was able to go that. And that's just me. That's not for everybody. But for me, I feel like I would have been set up for another C-section, because of how I deal with pain is to tense up, and tensing up was not allowing the baby to get where she needed or he needed to be. And so there's a lot of factors, and we kind of talk about a lot of those things. But yes, we have a lot of people that I've had 2 successful VBACs after a C-section. However, just to be fair, I knew none of this stuff when I was pregnant. I learned all of this after my kids were born, and I wish I had this information in my birthing story, because it would have made a huge, huge difference for me. Okay, Mary Ann. Her question, it starts out with no coaching, ? And then it says, in my past labors, I don't know how many labors, but I believed my diastasis and pelvic floor issues are a result of how I pushed. How do I talk to my birth team so they will help me be a better advocate for the exhale pushing or the practice pushing that the tummy team teaches? Okay, this is a great question. So we all, if you've had a baby, you all know that, and if you specifically had a baby in a hospital, we know that when you get to the pushing stage of things, everybody comes and you've got a cheering team, and they often tell you to kind of round up, curl your body, hold your breath, and bear down. And at this point, it's the end of the marathon, and it's the dead sprint to the end, and you are usually exhausted and excited and also kind of panicky. It's a really intense time of the pushing phase is the intensest time of the labor for most of us. And so it's hard to not do what everybody's telling you to do, especially if it's your first baby, or especially if you've had any kind of difficulties in the delivery so far. It's hard to not just do what everybody's telling you to do. So one of the things that we teach in our prenatal core training process is the coordination between the core and the pelvic floor. So the core comes in, the transverse comes in on the exhale, and the pelvic floor has a natural co-contraction. So when the tummy comes in, the pelvic floor should lift a little bit. We call it our long, lean, and lifted position, okay? So if you're using your belly breath and you're exhaling and drawing the tummy in, the pelvic floor wants to come up, which is actually shutting the door so the baby doesn't come out. So our coordination process is training you to draw your tummy in and let your pelvic floor go at the same time. And we do this with bowel movements. We do this with what we call potty training, or potty posture, not potty training, potty posture. We do this throughout your pregnancy. So you have this muscle memory that's similar to when we use the bathroom, where a tummy comes in, supports the uterus or supports the GI tract, and the pelvic floor lets go to allow whatever needs to come out, right? And so that's the same process. And in that, we want your pelvis and rib cage to be aligned. So not in a hunched position with your stomach bulging out, which is what Marianne is saying. Like if she was in that rounded position, pushing out, holding her breath, so the pressure's going out and the pressure's coming down in the pelvic floor. So it is likely that any kind of diastasis or pelvic floor things that she had was exacerbated by, or exacerbated is the word, exacerbated by that type. And if she did it for hours and she did it with multiple babies, that could absolutely be a contributing factor to some of her diastasis and pelvic floor stuff. And it sounds like she's doing some work to prevent that and change that. So the question is, how do you talk to your birthing team? So I always encourage my clients to talk to whoever they know is going to be in the room. So if it's the OB or the midwife or their doula, and I know a lot right now, people aren't able to have like extra people in their rooms for birth, but your husband, your best friend, your mom, whoever's going to be there, have a conversation with them with what you're doing, that you have been doing this program and that you're working on exhale breathing for pushing, where you exhale, draw the tummy in, relax the pelvic floor, but you still breathe during that contraction. So the uterus is supported and the pelvic floor lets go. Tell them what you're doing, get as many people on board as possible. And then we encourage you to write out a birth plan. And in the birth plan, what I usually say, because usually it's the nursing staff at the hospital that are doing this coaching with the best intentions. What I usually say is I say, please do not coach me. I don't want any coaching during the pushing phase unless there's an emergency. So unless there's something wrong with the baby or something you're doing is ineffective and there's harm for you or the baby, really the medical team is there for emergencies, right? Your birth support and you are going to get this baby out, but they're there for emergencies and they're there for things that might have gone wrong. So you want to really make sure they kind of know what you've been doing. And most of the time they've been coaching you they coach you because they assume you don't know what you're doing, and they're going to teach you how to hold your breath and bear down like you're having the biggest bowel movement of your life. But that's really not what we want to do, because that's going to cause a bunch of damage. So I usually put it on there, and when you get to the hospital, you just let them know, this is my birth plan, and these are some things that are really important to me. And then whoever's supporting you, your husband, your doula, your mom, whoever's there, when you get to the pushing, say, just remember that Marianne's been really working hard on the coordination of pushing. She doesn't want to hold her breath and bear down until she absolutely has to at the very end for 1 or 2 pushes, just getting through the ring of fire. But for the rest of it, she's going to exhale, breathe, and she doesn't want to be coached unless something's going wrong. And just have them advocate for you, because you're not going to be in a good place to advocate for yourself at that time. You're just having a baby, right? So I feel like that's a really kind way to make sure to advocate for yourself, and don't feel like you're going to hurt somebody's feelings. Yes, this is their job, but this is your body and your baby, and you've been preparing for this, and we help you be very prepared. But they are there in case of emergency. This is what they do all day long. So if something's not going right, allow them to help you. Okay? All right. So, nope. I was just seeing, I had a couple more comments there. I was just making sure that I wasn't missing anything. Any questions? So my last question that I have is, Donna, I think that's my last question. Yep. My OB told me that I had a DR and then basically said, sorry, that happens. I'm kind of panicking about what this means. Tell me more about prenatal core training, why my doctor does not think I should worry about it. Oh, I had this exact experience. You know how sometimes the OB will help you get up off the table, and they'll put their hand and you kind of go to lift up. And I had this doming that happened. It's ironic. I didn't even know that was a diastasis. I'm a PT, but I just didn't do this work, right? So I didn't even know. So I pushed out, and my doctor said, oh, I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And he's like, oh, that happens. Which I had really difficult pregnancies. I had lost a lot of babies, so I had a lot of other things I was worrying about. The state of my abdominal wall did not make the list, so I just blew it off just like he did. But I see this with clients a lot where they're like, oh yeah, my doctor saw it and said, oh, I'm so sorry. Whoops, too bad. That's so sad. And they give them no resources or no support. And I understand. They don't know. This isn't their area of specialty, but it is our area of specialty. So recognize that just because a medical professional has kind of blown off that this is just normal, that everybody has a diastasis, or, oh, sorry, you have one, good luck with that. I'm really sorry that they're saying that. But this is what we do. Okay. So I want to encourage you that bulging, that tenting, that, any amount of separation that you have is a sign that your core muscles need to be trained and supported for the rest of your pregnancy, for your birth, and for birth recovery. And the earlier, the more proactive you can be, the better outcomes you're going to have. And this is what all of our clients say, hands down. I wish I had done it sooner. I waited for this. I waited for a sale. I waited till the baby was 1. I waited till, my second pregnancy. Everybody says they wish they had done it sooner. And so I can't say that enough. We push off self-care. If it's not severe and we don't have terrible symptoms, or our doctor doesn't think like it's a big deal, we don't do it. But I'm telling you, that bulging, that separation is really, really telling you something. It's telling you that your muscles are not knitted together strong. And so over time, it's going to be less and less support of the uterus. And it's going to be very difficult for you to be connected and coordinated when it comes time for pushing. Okay. And so pushing it's not easy. It's the hardest thing you're going to do. You're getting a big thing out of a small hole and you're really tired. So we want to set you up for success with that. Okay. So our prenatal core training is a 6-week online course, and it goes step by step. You get just access to videos once a week. They're about 45 minutes to an hour and a half of time that you sit down at the beginning of whatever day you start it. If it's Wednesdays, you always start it on Wednesdays, or Sunday, whatever day you start on. You watch those videos and then you implement the information over the course of that week. And it starts out with sitting alignment, belly breaths, connecting to the transverse, understanding the anatomy, understanding what a diastasis is, understanding why alignment matters. And then we go into the coordination for bowel movements and standing. And then we go into neutral pelvic alignment, trying to get you in a good alignment. And then we go over pelvic floor connection and coordination. We go over practice pushing. We go over mama and baby alignment. We go over pushing positions, alternate pushing positions. And then we give you an immediate postpartum plan that helps you for those first couple of weeks before you even have any brainwidth to think of something new. We give you an initial plan that's kind of built into your baby care, your newborn parenting postures, built into what you're already doing for baby to also nurture yourself and help your body heal and be supported. Okay, and it's a 6-week program. We also have a 4-week C-section program. So if you know you're going to have a planned C-section, we don't have to do the practice pushing component, but there are some other specific things that we can do to prepare you for the surgical procedure and the surgical recovery and all of the other stuff that you need to have a strong core going into a C-section. And then we also have the prenatal crash course, which is basically I took out just the key videos from prenatal core training, that if I only had one session with somebody, what would I tell them? If I only had one session, what could we get in? And it's actually about 2 sessions, but you could do it all in a weekend, or watch all the videos in the weekend, and then it gives you the key things to work on, even if you only have like a week before your delivery. Super important, because it also gives you the postpartum plan, which is valuable. You know, a lot of times people are like, oh, when can I start this work? And it's not that you could start it right away, but you can't really start it right away, because you need to take care of the baby and take care of yourself, and you can't really process new informations or even watch a video without falling asleep. So it's good to have a little bit of a game plan for postpartum recovery before baby comes. Okay, and we help you with that. Because we all, especially if it's your first baby, we all kind of focus on, oh, the baby's coming, you know, and we decorate the nursery and we, you know, get all the clothes and all the stuff for the baby. And we don't always think, oh, what am I going to need to recover from this? And the birth community is really advocating for what we call the 4th trimester, which is the 3 months after delivery, where you are taking care of baby, but also taking care of yourself, and not pushing yourself real hard to get back to where you were, but allowing your body to heal and recover and retrain and rehab so you can get back to the life that you want to have. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Those are all the questions that I have that have been sent in, and a couple of the questions you guys asked. And a lot of the things that a lot of comments and stuff that are coming in is, oh, I wish I had had this. I wish my doctors knew this. I wish I knew this when I was pregnant. I know, right? So help your friends, help the people you know, get them this information, help your daughters, your nieces, you know, help them get this information, because that's what we do. We're a bunch of sisters, right? We're the sisterhood of trying to help each other. But also, you know, if you're not pregnant and it's been a long time, and even if it's been years and years, even if you're in your 60s or 70s and your kids are going to college or whatever, you can still rehab your core. It's never too late to have a strong core. So even if it's been a really long time, I know I spent lots of time in this particular Q&A saying, come soon, come earlier, the sooner the better. Absolutely. But that doesn't mean if you ever missed your window. You didn't miss your window. We're here for you, and we have a really comprehensive program, and it would be really helpful. Okay, would you recommend an e-session if you have had rehab but don't know the next steps? Possibly. If you've done rehab with us and you are kind of got stuck somewhere, then an e-session can be really valuable for me to help get you on track and prioritize. And then if we need to give you access to a program you've done before, we can do that to get you back where you were. If you've had rehab with someone else, a different PT, a different program, then you can do the e-session first. But usually what I say is do the program and schedule an e-session at about week 3. So if it's core foundations, about week 3 is you've got a lot of the initial information, a lot of the initial connection, and then we start working on neutral pelvis. And you have enough that I don't have to teach you the why. And a lot of times people have had rehab and they feel like, oh, I've already done this, but it hasn't worked. If you're still having trouble, then you probably need a different approach. And our approach is very educational. And so those first couple of weeks, really a lot of information to take in, but it's nice for us to do the e-session after you have that information, because then we can help you work through it. But if you feel like you know some of that, but you're still kind of stuck, then an e-session might be a good way to go. And we have 30-minute e-sessions. We have like a 30-minute consult, and then we have an hour e-session where we can do a lot more with you. So if you feel like I just need to know the next step, then maybe just a 30-minute consult will be enough for you. Okay? All right, if there's not any more questions, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for joining me, and feel free to share this to people and go to thetummyteam.com, look at our prenatal core training, our core foundations, our crash course, look at what we have to offer. Plus we have a ton of free resources. Also, our YouTube channel has a ton of parenting, newborn parenting postures that can be really valuable, and we have some videos there about pregnancy and diastasis that really can give you a lot of hope and encouragement, so you know where you're going in the right direction. Okay, so hopefully that will help you guys, and thank you so much. All right, bye-bye.